you know, it was like, good, I can put this to rest, you know. If it was real, I didn't know what I was going to do with that information, but I wanted to know. So I joined MUFON, and I told Jeff, my boss, I told him my mom's story, and that, you know, it definitely piqued his interest. And just as an experiment, I started doing like a little, and I didn't even know about Stephen Greer at that point, or not much about him. I didn't really know him from Joe. You know, I'd sort of read a bunch of stuff, but I started doing the mind messages. I was sending them out. It was like, whoever is out there, I want you to take me. I want to meet you. And I was doing it on a regular basis. You know, I used to meditate when I was younger, and I kind of used the same meditation techniques, and I was just on a regular basis. It's like I was pestering them, is the way I thought about it. It's like if I bug them enough, but I kept sending that thought out there. And one night I went to bed. I hadn't taken any psychotropic drugs. If that's a question anybody would have. I might have had a beer, you know. And in the middle of the night, it was maybe 12:31 in the morning, our house started flooding with a strange light. Now, when I say it's a blue light, it wasn't blue like you turned on the blue spotlight. It's just that the word blue is the best one that I can think of to describe it. It was this cool light that was flooding our house.
Like this here?
You know, in our bedroom, anyway. Our bedroom.
Like these ones?
Yeah. That's pretty darn close. That's pretty darn close.
That looks like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, doesn't it?
It's coming from all around. It was as if it was pervading the walls of our house. So I'm lying in bed and I'm trying to figure out what the hell is happening when suddenly, slowly, I couldn't move my fingers. I couldn't move my legs. I couldn't scream. I couldn't do anything. I'm lying there, and I thought about a patient of mine that I had who was a quadriplegic. I was horrified. I mean, that's like a internal bit of horror that I've all, you know, people are scared of cockroaches. People are scared of snakes, spiders. I'm afraid of becoming a quadriplegic because I've taken care of them. And I can't think of anything more horrifying. Well, suddenly I'm lying in my bed and I'm a quadriplegic. And I was not asleep. So I was lying there and I went into what I would call a hypnagogic state. It was not a dream state and it wasn't wakefulness. It was almost, it was just, the best I can describe it, if to look up the word a hypnagogic state, is what it felt like I had gone into.
Right.
Now, the corner of our room began to swirl, sort of like, you know, in Scooby-Doo cartoons where they do the blah, 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 blah thing, you know. Well, there was like this swirling pattern that was going on in the corner of the room. Now I'm lying there, I can't move. There is this light in the room, and the wall is beginning to swirl. And at this point, you know, the hypnagogic state is more, I don't even know how to describe it. But it was like there was a hole in the wall. And there, these little shadowy guys came through. It was like they slid through, like you would see, like they were on a platform that was carried in. Now, you know, I've since then I've read certain accounts where they float right over the ground. They weren't walking, they weren't moving themselves. It was as though they were carried over, like they were sliding on glass or ice skating to my bed. I mean, all this is going on, and I'm horrified. I can't move. I'm not dreaming. But I'm not. It doesn't. I mean, I didn't know what I was. And they came around my bed, and as far as I know, they visited me. Although maybe they maybe they did take that it was a visitation, but I mean, they could have just as easily taken me. I don't know, but I was still lying there. I was in the same position, and they were taking blood from me. They had these tubes that came out, and they attached to me, and they were taking blood and taking. I didn't know that much about the phenomenon, but I did know that people would get a calming message. There would usually be somebody that would say, there would be a tall creature that would come and say, "We're not going to harm you. Don't worry, you're going to be all right. This is going to be over soon." There was none of that. I didn't get a comforting message from anything. I don't know what it's like to get an ESP message from anybody, because they didn't, I didn't get that. There was a tall figure standing that kept standing. I think of him as a sentinel.
Yep.
That was standing. There was a tall figure standing that kept standing. I think of him as a sentinel.
Yep.
That was standing in the area on the wall that they had come through. Anyway, I was horrified. I thought that they were going to kill me. I thought about, I thought they were going to desanguinate me. I thought about the cattle that they find, with no footprints, and I wondered if they were going to vivisect me. I really didn't know, because I didn't get a calming message. That's what kept going through my mind. I haven't had where's my calming message? Where's my calming message? And I didn't get one. Anyway, they finished up as quickly as they had started, and they left. And they didn't turn around and walk out. They were still facing me, but they slid back through the portal that they had come through. They were still facing me, but they slid back through the portal that they had come through, and it closed up. And I still couldn't move. I couldn't move for a while. The room was still filled with light, but slowly the light came back. The crickets came back. And as soon as I could move, I started screaming. And I grabbed my wife. I grabbed Lisa, and I was screaming and screaming. I couldn't even tell her what had happened. When I finally could tell her, she was just like, "Oh, is this what I have to look forward to? You join these guys and you're going insane. What are you,
I thought she was awake when it happened too.
We had a couple of other nights that same week.
Right.
The second time, I did not wake up, but Lisa shook me and woke me up, and the house was still flooded with light. And Lisa said, "You need to tell," and the house was still flooded with light. And Lisa said, "You need to tell your little friends that they need to leave us the F alone." It wasn't, she said the F word, and she was angry, that was the response. The third night we both woke up, and it was just it was the same old thing. It was the room was flooded with blue light.
Yeah.
I ran to the window. I'm looking up. I'm trying to see where it was coming from. But it was actually coming from all angles. That was a thing. But it was brightest above. And it was so bright you couldn't see anything. You couldn't see, at this point I knew it wasn't a helicopter. I knew what was going on, and I couldn't believe it was going on. And I didn't know who to talk to. First person I told was Peter Robbins. He was the only person I could think of to tell. And I told him about, I tried to almost joke about it because I felt embarrassed to tell him,
All right, let me just type
the little straws that are in a loop, and they did look like that a little bit because it was just haphazard tubes, that they attached to me, and that, they were taking my blood. They took a lot of blood, and there were no marks on me. There were no marks. And that was another problem. And I was really angry that this happened because I wanted to meet Space Brothers, Valiant Thor, bring it on, a cute Nordic, sure, But no, these were like the little wordless, little short gray guys with reflective eyes. And, at the time I thought that they were looking at me almost begrudgingly. But now that I remember the facial expressions, it was just kind of a blank facial expression. It was robotic, is what it looked like,
Yeah.
And this was my experience. Um,